And welcome to another episode of Today and Tomorrow in Scottsdale with Don and Kevin. I'm Don, you're Kevin.
How you doing?
I can usually tell the difference.
Yeah.
Although once in a while we'll show up at an event like dressed in the same exact
Someday I'm going
clothes.
to switch around and move chairs on you, see if you can find me.
I don't know that I'll be able to handle that, man. I don't know for sure. But I know one thing I can handle today's guest.
Yeah.
Because we got another good one, to say the least. Today's guest is actually someone who has spent more than 3 decades helping shape not just messages, but actually shaping communities. Abbie Fink, she's president of HMA Public Relations, and she's a longtime Scottsdale leader whose impact can be felt across countless civic and nonprofit organizations. She's a connector, a storyteller, and a champion for the kind of leadership that brings people together. Welcome, Abbie.
Well, thanks for having me. And it was Don and Kevin.
We'll have name
Don.
tags.
Okay, got it.
We'll
Got it.
We'll get badges out here so we can figure that out.
Just making sure I got it right.
Once in a while, we'll show up in exactly the same outfits. We have a tendency to do that. Then we just throw everybody off kilter.
Yeah. Well, as long as they're calling you something.
Yeah, they're calling me a lot of things.
That's probably a PR rule.
Just let them call you something.
Yeah. Even though we can't repeat it on the air necessarily, but that's quite all right. Abbie, it's a delight to have you on. You've got so many things happening, but we always like to start with just getting a little background on people, to find out where you're from, where you grew up, and even though I might know it, a lot of people don't. And maybe tell us a couple things we don't know about you.
Well, let's see. So I have lived in the Valley since I was 9 years old. I moved here from Minnesota. My dad was transferred and had a position here in Scottsdale. So I'm a proud Arizona State University graduate, double devil as they call us. I had in my undergrad and my graduate program. And I've called Scottsdale home for about 25 years now. I own a public relations agency called HMA Public Relations. And we work with a variety of different clients, helping them tell their stories to the people that need to hear them. And it's always fun. I get opportunities to work with some amazing organizations, both in the public and private sector, a lot of nonprofit organizations. And it allows me to use my creativity and allows me to work with some incredible people that are doing some amazing things. So I can't think of a better job to have, a better career to have. I get bored very quickly, so this gives me a lot of variety and a lot of opportunity to do some good work along the way.
So you've got more than 30 years in public relations. What first drew you to this kind of work?
Well, the truth of the matter is that I've been doing public relations since I was little, like in the 6th grade. The administration at my elementary school took away our graduation dance because some of the kids were acting up, and I didn't think that was fair. So I staged a picket line in front of the school and called the local media, and I did my first television interview with one of the local reporters at Channel 5.
Is that right?
Wow. Yeah. So fast forward, I went to the business school at ASU and did not do well. And after several tearful conversations with my parents, decided that I was probably better in the creative side of things than the business side of things. And when we started talking, it realized that I had been doing this thing my whole life, organizing, managing, helping people do things, whatever it might be. And when I discovered that that could actually be a career path, I wandered over to the journalism school. And at the time, at the Cronkite School, it was part of the journalism program to get your subset in public relations. And so that's what I did. And once I found that, it was really a light bulb moment for me that this was something that I enjoyed doing, could make an impact by doing it, and could put to the skills and the things that I enjoyed doing out there, and then actually make a living doing it. So I've been very fortunate that graduated and have been working in it ever since.
That's unusual, particularly in this field, Kevin, for people to be able to stay in one field like that and stay in one town too. So maybe you could tell us a couple of your career highlights and maybe what kept you in Scottsdale all these years.
So, my career highlights are really quite varied, but I think the things that I take the most pride in the work that we've done are those things that have really moved people to action to do something. We work with a lot of businesses and organizations. We work with a lot of entrepreneurs. And when we have the opportunity to help an organization advance and move forward. That's really where I get my excitement from, and what keeps me wanting to do that. So some of the things that we've got to work on have been a lot of work in the social services areas. We've worked on projects that have assisted with drug prevention, substance use work. We've worked with the homeless population. We work with foster care, and really been able to raise awareness around the importance of those topics and why others should pay attention to them. I've done a lot of work in the over the years with the state's tribal communities, our Native American communities, on some advocacy issues, working with them on education, housing, water, other sustainability issues. And, this is not necessarily about, getting new business. It's more about protecting the sovereignty of their nation and their people. And that's a pretty powerful place to be, especially when you recognize the importance of being accepted into a culture and understanding the different nuances and the different way of working. So I feel very blessed to have had those opportunities to do that. And I think why Scottsdale has really been about what this community represents. And I think, I have had the chance to work with businesses and organizations that are based here. My business is here. I own a home here. And having spent some time and really interacting, it really is a close-knit community. I think we in general care a lot about each other and what is good for our community, and keeping it at the forefront of what's important. It's not perfect. There's certainly some challenges out there, but even with the challenges, I think that we all understand what it means to support and engage and participate. And in order to, get the community you want, the name of your podcast, Today and Tomorrow, if we want a tomorrow that makes sense, we have to participate today in order to make those moments of maybe complicated things and unrest and unsettling make sense for what the future could look like. We don't get anywhere by, being complacent. We do have to rabble-rouse a little bit, but I think by doing it in a way that's smart and forward-thinking and respectful is what continues to drive me here.
Kevin, she couldn't put together a better preamble for what it means to be a Scottsdale, an involved Scottsdale community citizen, right? Take notes right there, man.
That's a PR 101 right there. Yeah. Hey, Abbie, you were telling us about your career highlights, but you skipped over a critical piece of information. Was the little school dance reinstated?
It was.
Okay, cool.
It was.
All right, very effective.
Yeah,
that's probably one of your first achievements. Then.
It was a moment. Let me tell you. It did set the tone for what would come to pass over the years, but. And all kidding aside, if you think about what that means, right? There was a wrong that was happening. It was being let out on others that didn't have anything to do with it, and a group of people said that wasn't fair. Let's figure out what we can do to do something that's right. And I think the administration recognizing that we did it the right way. And so therefore, I think, and if there was a lesson to be learned in that, that's really how I've operated all along. I'm not necessarily always going to be on the right side of a conversation or on the popular side of a conversation, but when we can do things the right way and we can be confident that what we're doing is for the right reasons, I'm okay with not necessarily always being, on the popular side of a discussion, as long as we can be proud of the work and know that we're doing it for the right reasons.
So how did you manage to avoid the political path?
Very intentionally. If you think about the public relations or public affairs, public advocacy, there are opportunities to define the kind of work that you want to do. And when you make the decision, at least this is my view, when you make the decision to enter into politics, whether as a candidate or issues, but being in that kind of conversation somewhat requires you to pick a side, and you kind of have to align for the most part on that side almost all the way through your work, because you're going to get to be known in those circles, and it's important for you to do that. As an agency, we have always felt that there's a place for that. It's just not with us, and that we would prefer to work outside of the political arena to do the work that we do. That's not to say that we don't support the clients that we have that are supporting issues and helping them navigate that. But you will not find us working on a political campaign. You won't find us, pushing a proposition specifically, but we will work with our clients if those are issues of importance to them, how to help them navigate through that process. And there are great agencies in town that do politics, and they do it very well, and it should be there.
It's their niche.
Exactly.
Right. Kevin, she'd make a good city council candidate, don't you think?
Oh,
yes, you would actually.
oh no. I much prefer to be voting, not being voted on.
Voting
so.
is good. Voting is good. As we're talking about Scottsdale and politics, what's your observations of the current conditions of our leaders in Scottsdale?
Well, I think there is an awful lot of contention on our city council, and I'm challenged by why that needs to happen at a city level. I think that kind of discussions are not really what we should be doing at a local level. I want to believe that anybody that puts themselves up for election and wants to run for city council to represent the city is doing it initially for the right reasons. They have something they want to accomplish. They see something that they believe they can do something good for. Unfortunately, it doesn't always end up that way, and it gets to be quite challenging. I'm troubled by it because I think we are a city that should rise above that type of behavior, and we are a well-connected community. A lot of us know a lot of us, right? We're all pretty well interconnected. And if we all are coming at it for the right reasons and we all want the same things, there should be a better way than this pitting each other against each other. So, but if you're an actively engaged member of the community, then that means participating, that means going to council meetings, that means expressing your opinion in a polite and respectful way, that means voting, means showing up at the polls. And if you don't do those things, then you have to kind of keep quiet because you have not participated in the process. So you shouldn't be able to truly complain about it unless you've been an active part of making it happen. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
Kevin, she's singing our song, man.
Absolutely. No question about it. I was thinking about the other day, I was thinking about how, about 8 years ago, or a couple of election cycles ago, we saw what's going on nationally, and we saw the divisiveness going on nationally. But at that point in time, our local elections were still insulated a little bit, and that had not permeated down into our local election. It was still a nonpartisan race. People were still fairly cordial to one another, and then it started seeping into city council, and now look at it, it's gone through the school board, and even the SRP election that happened a couple weeks ago was very highly partisan charged.
Yeah, look what Turning Point was doing with that election.
There
right?
is
Exactly
not a
right.
single elected position, no matter at what level, I believe, in the state or anywhere, that is not touched by partisan politics now, and that's disappointing.
What disappoints me is I'm dealing with that a lot with the Carter Center work that I do on a national and statewide level. I never thought we'd have to do it down at the city and school board level. What we do, you're right. And that's troubling.
Yeah, I remember one of the classes I took at ASU as part of my master's program was political communications. Not because I planned on going into politics, but it was an elective. It was taught by Dr. Bruce Merrill, for anybody that's been around a long time, by highly respected pollster at the time, really understood politics. And it was a time when politics was gentleman politics, right? It was classy. It was above board. It wasn't a lot of anger in the conversations. It was more about what I can do versus what the other person isn't doing. Mm-hmm. But we were at a pivotal point at that time, and it was changing. And he was talking about the change, and this is many, many years ago. He said, if it continues that way, we will never be able to go back. And so if we kind of fast forward to now, I think we are living that out. And the challenge that I have, and if I take it from a communications perspective, is that, let's make some assumptions that we want to understand what you stand for. We want to understand what you believe in. We want to know who you are as a person to the extent that that's going to somewhat guide how you're going to make some of your decisions. And so spending time and money telling me what the other people aren't isn't productive in my view. I mean, I can find out about them by listening to them, But I really want to know what you stand for and what your principles are and what you're going to do for me, do for my community, do for my city, my state, wherever it is that we're voting for. And I'm afraid we've gotten way past that. And on a city level, when, this is the city council is not a huge body by any means, 6, 8 people, whatever that is. It is elected by the people here, your neighbors are electing you, unlike a national election, which you don't necessarily have a personal connection. And so where we have gotten so caught up in the rhetoric and the conversations that have nothing to do with really what you believe in and what you are going to do, that's really troublesome to me. And I think that, it may not be in the next handful of election cycles that we'll be able to fix this. But my hope is that maybe the up and coming folks that are considering putting themselves up for public office will maybe start to see that there's a different way, a better way to do this. And again, I'm not a political consultant. I am not out there doing this. I know there's strategy and discussions that drive this. But as a consumer and someone that has enough knowledge of understanding what it means, I feel like there's a breaking point, and we're very, very much in the middle of it, that we need to think differently about how we're expressing how our political leaders are expressing their beliefs and how they're making things happen, because it's not good for them, and it's certainly not good for their constituents.
No, it's not. One of the complaints I hear statewide and maybe nationally, but and certainly locally as well, is looking for ways to get business leaders more engaged in the process, whatever it might be. Again, actually getting business leaders more engaged in civic life in general. That's been your work all your career. How can you suggest that other business leaders, it's time to stand up, right, and start really supporting what our communities need? And sometimes people are thinking that the business community kind of sit on the sidelines, not getting engaged in all this stuff. And what's your thoughts about that?
Well, it's an interesting conversation to have with a business owner or a leader about taking a stand and being public about something, and because they're regularly thinking about the impact that will have on their business. Well, recent research is showing that consumers want the businesses that they're doing business with to take a stand. That may not be on the side of their beliefs, but they want to know where you are in a particular issue, and whether those are social issues, homelessness, sexual orientation, right? Whatever it is, whatever that might be, they want to understand where you're coming from, to the extent that we want to support those that align with where we are. And so, if we were having this conversation, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, it very rarely came up. Now the conversation is front and center about should we or shouldn't we be public about our opinions. Now, it's difficult when I'm a small business. We can sit around a conference room table and talk about, how I feel, what should we do, should we or shouldn't we, and have feedback and do that. Well, if I'm a president of a company with 500, 600, 1,000 employees, it's hard to represent all of them in my public, and they all may not agree as the CEO's opinion. But when you don't participate and when you don't actively engage, or at the very least encourage active engagement, you become part of the problem because you are not helping advance. So we want the businesses that we work with to have a public opinion. We want them to take an interest in the community that they are operating in, and to be involved. And that doesn't necessarily be involved politically, but you can support nonprofits in your community. You can engage and be a volunteer. You can sit on boards of directors. You can allow your employees to participate. Give them the time that they need to volunteer for causes that are important to them. Make that part of your culture so that it is seen externally as the kind of place that people want to work, the kind of place that people want to do business with. I don't necessarily have to always agree with you, but I want to see that you're participating. And we can anecdotally show that it matters, but I think that over time you will see it really matters when you start looking at the impact that has on recruitment and retention and just keeping yourself relevant by being an active participant. Now, there's a lot of reasons for you to maybe keep your personal opinions personal, But as a business that operates in a particular community, I think it's important for some sort of engagement in whether that's politically or just in serving and being connected to the things that matter in your particular community.
Corporate citizenship, right? Right, Kevin?
Exactly.
Corporate
Absolutely.
citizenship.
Yeah.
That's important, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about our legacy before we get too far.
Yeah, we're actually wrapping up near the end, and we need to make sure we also mention a little award that she's going to
Well,
get.
that's part of it, yeah. Right. But I mean, this is a great conversation. I love talking to PR. I don't get to talk to PR people that much, but I have a ton of questions. But we're going to run out of time if we don't start talking about all of our arm's length resume of public service.
Well, let's since we are near the end, let's wrap it up by saying congratulations with your induction into the Scottsdale History Hall of Fame, which is based on a legacy of work that you've done. If you could pick, to Kevin's point, maybe you could pick one or two or three things that you think are part of your legacy that are important attributes as to why you're going into the Hall of Fame. And then I'm going to have one more question for you on the Hall of Fame when you're done with that.
Okay, so that Hall of Fame induction is probably it is humbling to say the least, and I'm honored and thrilled to be considered and being inducted here in a few weeks. When I look at the other honorees this year, one of the things that resonated with me was the interconnectivity of all of the individuals that are being recognized this year. And so if I can think about those things, that is probably the most important part of this for me, is not necessarily one specific thing that I've done, but that this group of individuals and the two corporate inductees all have a connection to each other. And, I worked with the Fiesta Sports Foundation. They're still a client of mine. At some point, Scottsdale Fashion Square was a client of mine. Chris Irish and I was the board chair at Scottsdale Leadership when she was brought on as our executive director. The Smiths, of course, are longtime friends and former journalists here in town. And so this idea that we as a group have individually made an impact on our community is pretty powerful. But when you put us all together, it's a really amazing thing. And if I'm fortunate enough to be the selection and they found that I was deserving of this, I feel so much warmth and joy in knowing that I'm being inducted with this group of other individuals that have meant so much to our community and to me in my personal journey as well. So it's a pretty powerful group of people, and I'm thrilled to be a part of it.
That's awesome. It's just a matter of time till Kevin gets in the Hall of Fame too. So we'll be looking at that down the road. He can give a similar answer. How's that sound?
Well, there's one big stumbling block we'll talk about later. There's one barrier entry on that one, but no. Abbie, what do you think Scottsdale Leadership had to do with this, your journey? Probably a lot.
When I applied for Scottsdale Leadership, which is, 23 classes ago, I guess, I did it somewhat for selfish reasons. I thought, I had just bought my house in Scottsdale. I was growing a business here. I should join Scottsdale Leadership. It will be good for business.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
But but it was so much more than that. And I think the relationships that you make as a result of your class, the relationships that you make with those prior to you and the ones that you're making in, those that are coming later, that common connection and being able to, pick up the phone and call another alumni and say, hey, I was in class 17, and they automatically will give you the time that you need from them. It was an incredible experience to learn about the city that I was calling home, that was at that point was and every class will probably say the same thing, was going through a series of changes. That were things that were happening, very monumental things at the time, and to be sort of at with a front row seat to what was happening. And now to look backwards and be able to say, I have had the opportunity to interact with and sit across the table from mayors and city council and CEOs of major organizations and nonprofit leaders and friends and colleagues that are all thinking about the same mission, which is what can we do to impact the city? And I'm going to participate in this program so I can be better at doing that. It's an amazing thing. And all these years later, I'm still making connections as a result of it. And I think that if there was a path to this Hall of Fame induction that started with my involvement there, then it was set out that those kinds of things along the way would lead me to this opportunity, because it taught me or reinforced in me the importance of civic engagement, of being involved and giving back and finding those things that you can be passionate about, and doing them in such a way that advances others. And then if recognition is a result of it, then that's just the bonus for having carried that journey forward.
That's awesome. We could go on for a long time talking to Abbie, Kevin, couldn't we?
We sure could.
Maybe we'll have you back someday just to get caught up after you've been inducted into the Hall of Fame. But Abbie, what a wonderful conversation. It's great catching up with you. We sure have a lot of respect and appreciation for all that you've done for the city and all that you're going to continue to do for the city. And Kevin, this is a great example of why we do these podcasts.
Yeah, we're trying to get Abbie on for a long time, so thank you so much for making the time for us today.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
And congratulations again on the Scottsdale Hall of Fame. That's a worthy honor, and we're just proud that we can get you on here just before you're getting inducted. So fantastic. And thanks to all of you for listening. We'll be back again next week with another episode of Today and Tomorrow in Scottsdale.